Welcome to Scenes of a Non-Existent Book. The book that I am working on, or novella, or short story, or animation, or comic, or I don't know what it's going to be. Disparate scenes that all take place in the same world but are collected in my Substack email newsletter. I'm not working in the dark. I am sharing this process out loud, and this coming scene I'm pretty excited about. These aren't in any particular order. If you want to see the other ones, you can jump back into my Substack and kind of see those. Here is the explanation to the President of the United States of what is going on. A quiet, high-pitched hum filled the Situation Room as monitors on the wall slipped backwards and to become CRT screens. Most of the occupants of the room were old enough that they couldn't hear that frequency, not that it mattered much, because everyone was focused on the most bizarre debriefing any of them could remember. Of course, memory was a bit tricky lately, given humans' proclivity towards normalizing whatever we're experiencing. Madam President, time is breaking down. I could sit here and talk about time dilation and gravity wells, or discuss the finer points of growing block theory, but the facts in this room will better prove my point. The professor was not what you'd expect of an expert in his field, with short-cropped mohawk, t-shirt, and jeans. Most people that came to the White House wore a suit or a uniform. This man looked like he'd been abducted in the middle of a cross-country motorcycle trip. He stood out amongst the uniform officers, agents, and politicians that filled that room. He continued, "The Situation Room was heavily renovated in 2007, but we're currently surrounded by 1960s wood paneling, tube TVs, and fax machines." At the mention of those outmoded devices, the chief of the naval operations slammed her fist down on the fax machine. It blurred and vibrated for a second, and was a teletype. She brought her elbow down on the teletype machine, and it vibrated into a red rotary phone with a single button. The Joint Chiefs paused a moment, attempting to intimidate the phone with a cold stare that caused subordinates to jump to attention, but had little effect on inanimate objects. The wall shook slightly as several tube TVs slipped forward in time and became two sleek flat screens and one somewhat transparent flat crystal surface that seemed to hover near the wall, which was no longer wood paneling. This was rather distracting due to the fact that objects rarely slipped in time. In fact, it was so rare that no one had yet observed that devices using encrypted communications tended to slip 3 times more often than other things. Occasionally, a mountain or a lake would slip in time, but mostly this went unnoticed due to the landscape's tendency to take centuries for any noticeable changes to occur. Case in point, cathode ray tubes haven't been used since baby, Agent Johnson of the Secret Service shouted, and half an instant later 3 beanbags hurled by nearby agents struck the future president in the face, one of them bursting in the seams and impact, scattering dry hard beans in all directions as the child blurred for a second and fast-forwarded several decades. "Sorry, what did I miss? I think I slipped," said the now 63-year-old President Boxton. "The professor was explaining that time is broken," her aide explained. "Well," Professor Zubke corrected, "I don't think time is completely broken. Otherwise, everything in the past would currently be the present." "What does that even mean?" said a pasty preteen with dark eyeliner as he rolled his eyes behind a curtain of greasy black hair. An agent quickly slapped him as a beanbag whizzed past him and struck the 90-year-old man sitting in the chair next to him. Both men buzzed for a second as they slipped back into being distinguished military officers in their mid-50s. Imagine everyone on Earth experiencing every moment and location in their past at the same time. We'd each be concurrently everywhere we've ever been. We'd also experience every event and emotion we'd ever experienced at once. Hot dog. Hot dog. The side of the President Boxton's face that wasn't drooping looked slightly confused as she tried to articulate her question again and said, "Hot dog," a third time. Her aide slapped her on the back, and she briefly vibrated and slipped back to her present age before the stroke and said, "You're sure that that would happen, Zub?" "We're swimming in unprecedented waters, Madam President." This is all conjecture. There's a strong theory that if time completely broke, it would immediately kill everyone as our hearts exploded from the simultaneous terror, joy, ecstasy, and pain, and our brains were paralyzed under the strain of a flood of every available biochemical the endocrine system has at once. Or we could have a ton of overlapping quantum entanglements as reality grappled with multiple bodies in a single location. "You want to explain that last one, Doc?" asked the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. "A quick demonstration should suffice. General, would you mind trading seats with me? You see, a moment ago, I was in that chair, and now I'm here. My occupation of those two locations are separate events in the timeline. If time completely broke, the general and I would both be in this chair, along with everyone else that's ever sat in that chair, interjected the president's aide, currently a bright 14-year-old sporting 2 braids and a school backpack. Boxton smacked her current. Exactly. I'm not sure what would happen or if that's even possible, but time is still working in that I was there and now I'm here. Events are separated. Time is broken in that each of our present time frames seems to be slipping a bit on the timeline. Hot dog, Boxton stated as she once again was struck in the face with the beanbag. She violently shook as she rewound in time. Zub wondered how many beanbags each Secret Service agent was carrying and why they specifically chose beanbags to shock people back into their present age. He realized that everyone was looking at him, and he continued. I've been tracking a dark particle I discovered that causes our singular perception of time. Einstein said, time is the thing that keeps everything from happening at once, which is partially true. It's more accurate to say that the present particle is the thing that keeps our perception of time separated into chronological events. And unfortunately, we're running out of it. Hot dog. Smack. What do you mean? Zub wondered if it was common for the president to slip forward so frequently, or if this was a response to some kind of trigger like stress or fear. Well, we are 3-dimensional creatures peeking through a split in the 4th-dimensional curtain. The present particle inhibits our ability to experience anything but the present moment. As the amount of that particle decreases, our perception of time being fixed in the present moment is slipping or drifting. We're running out of it? Asked the Commandant of the Marine Corps. Oh, that. Yes, there's less dark matter than there used to be. Our galaxy, or at least our planet, is lighter than it used to be. This dark particle, this present particle, is in the dark matter that's all around us. And as there's less and less of it, we're running out of time. Or running out of our ability to stay moored to the present time. Soon, we'll find out what actually happens when time completely breaks. Everyone everywhere they've ever been as their hearts explode? Maybe? How much time do we have? I have no idea. I'm not even sure if we'll be able to comprehend the concept of that question soon. Zub, you said our planet has less dark matter. Why did you specifically single that out? The president asked. Great question. The further you get away from Earth, the more dense the dark matter is. We're only losing density of the present particle in our little part of the universe. This is where things get strange. It seems that 6 months ago, we launched a generational ship to go and mine deep space for this present particle. They have been traveling on this mission for about 200 years. They've been traveling for 6 months or 200 years. Yes? I don't know how to explain it, but the current crew's ancestors launched from Earth 6 months ago, and that ship has been traveling at the speed of light for 200 years, give or take. Give or take? Give or take, since time isn't working correctly, and they're not on a planet with days and years, it's hard to tell how much time has passed or how you'd measure the time that has passed. But the youngest members of the current crew are the 8th generation from those that have launched. So if they're having kids sometime in their 20s, we figure it's a couple of 100 years. We also don't know how their perception of time will change as they move into denser space, or how our perception of their trip will be affected as they go out and return. Anyway, it seems to be about 6 months from when they left Earth and roughly 200 years on the ship, give or take. Give or take. So that's that scene. If you want to catch up on the rest of those, go to CoreyKerr.com/email and sign up for my email newsletter. You can go to the Substack there, search my name, and I will be doing these. If you want to read this instead of listening to my voice, then you can go and read the text in my email newsletter as well. Links in the bio, and thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next time. Go make stuff.